The antique wardrobe wasn't supposed to be there. When Emma inherited her grandmother's Victorian mansion, she'd meticulously cataloged every piece of furniture. This massive mahogany beast, with its intricate carvings of twisted faces and gnarled branches, simply appeared one morning in the master bedroom's corner, as if it had always belonged there. Emma approached it cautiously, running her fingers along its polished surface. The wood felt warm, almost alive beneath her touch. When she pulled the heavy doors open, the hinges released a sound somewhere between a sigh and a whisper. Inside, past the hanging clothes that she didn't remember putting there, she caught a glimpse of something impossible, light streaming through what should have been the back panel. She pushed aside the musty coats and dresses, leaning forward to investigate. The light grew stronger, and before she could step back, she felt herself being pulled through. The sensation lasted only a moment, like falling through silk, before she stumbled into what appeared to be her bedroom. But something was wrong. The furniture was arranged differently, the walls were painted a sickly shade of yellow instead of cream, and the air felt thick, almost syrupy. Through the window she saw her garden, but the flowers were black, their petals slowly turning to face her like curious eyes. A clock ticked somewhere, but its rhythm was irregular, like a failing heart. Emma rushed back to the wardrobe, relief flooding through her as she emerged into her familiar room. She slammed the doors shut, her heart pounding. But curiosity, that terrible human trait, drew her back the next day. This time, when she stepped through, she found herself in a version of her room where everything was identical, except all the mirrors showed reflections that moved a fraction of a second too late. Each day, she ventured through again, unable to resist the wardrobe's pull. Each reality she visited became progressively more disturbing. In one, invisible creatures skittered across the floors, their footsteps echoing like raindrops on glass. In another, the walls pulsed with a slow, deliberate rhythm, as if the house itself was breathing. She began noticing subtle changes in her own reality. The wardrobe's carvings seemed to shift positions when she wasn't looking. The faces in the wood grew more distinct, their expressions more anguished. Sometimes late at night, she heard whispers coming from inside it, voices speaking in languages that had never existed on Earth. One morning, Emma woke to find her bedroom mirror showing a reflection of herself still sleeping. When she moved, the reflection remained still. Panic rising, she ran to the wardrobe, thinking she could escape to another reality. Any reality but this one. As she yanked open the doors, she found herself staring at an infinite series of wardrobes, stretching into darkness. She stepped through, desperately hoping to find her way back home. But each reality she entered was wrong in new and terrible ways. In one, her skin began to peel away like wallpaper. In another, her thoughts became audible, echoing from the walls in voices that weren't her own. Time lost all meaning as she stumbled from one nightmare to the next. Finally, she emerged into what appeared to be her original bedroom. Everything seemed perfect, exactly as she remembered it. Relief washed over her until she noticed a small detail. The family photographs on her dresser showed a different Emma, one whose smile never quite reached her eyes. She rushed to the mirror, and her reflection stared back, normal at first glance. But as she watched, her reflection's expression changed to a knowing smile, though her own face remained frozen in horror. The reflection raised its finger to its lips, shushing her, and Emma realized the terrible truth. She hadn't been traveling to different realities. The wardrobe had been collecting pieces of her, scattering them across infinite dimensions, replacing them with something else, something that had been waiting in the spaces between realities. She wasn't Emma anymore, at least not entirely. She was a patchwork of different Emmas, stitched together from fragments of countless realities. Now, when she looks in mirrors, she sees flickers of all the other Emmas, their faces superimposed over her own like a living collage. The wardrobe still stands in the corner, its doors slightly ajar, whispering promises of more realities to explore. But she knows the truth. There's no way back to who she was. The only question that remains is how many more pieces of herself she'll lose before whatever is waiting in the wardrobe finally takes the last one. Sometimes, late at night, she catches glimpses of other people approaching their own wardrobes in different houses, in different realities. She wants to warn them, to tell them to burn these doorways to elsewhere before it's too late. But all she can do is watch as they reach for the handles, their reflections smiling those terrible knowing smiles, ready to guide one more soul into the spaces between worlds.